do it every single time you walk outside. You don't see it. You're thinking about the feeder, the weather, what's left in your coffee. But the moment you step into your yard, something begins. A chickadee adjusts its position on the branch. A cardinal turns its head. A nuthatch that was moving stops moving. And somewhere in the biology of those small, precise minds, a file is being updated. Your file. The birds in your yard have been running a quiet evaluation of you since the fird morning you appeared. Not passively, not randomly, deliberately. And depending on what they've concluded, depending on what category you've been placed in, they are adjusting their behavior around you right now in ways most people never notice and almost no one is told about. Welcome back to Wild Yard Mind. Subscribe before you leave, because what you're about to discover has been documented by researchers at some of the most respected ornithology institutions in the world. It will change what you see when you look out that window. And stay until the end, because the last thing we cover is the result the birds reach about certain people. And it is not what most of us expect. Test 1. They measured how you move. The first thing your birds assessed was not whether you were dangerous. It was how you moved through the space. Birds read motion with a precision that most people underestimate. The speed of your approach, whether you move in straight lines or wander, whether you stop near the feeder or pass through without slowing. These patterns are logged, compared across dozens of observations, and used to build a behavioral profile that predicts what you're likely to do next. Researchers studying corvid behavior at the University of Washington found that crows near feeding sites could distinguish between humans who moved with purposeful intent toward food sources and those who simply passed through, and adjusted their approach distances accordingly, not to humans as a category, to specific humans whose movement patterns they had cataloged individually. Your birds have been doing the same thing. The way you carry yourself through your yard is not invisible to them. It is data. Test 2. They watched how you respond to them. This one is more subtle, and the findings are more remarkable. Over time, birds in close proximity to a consistent human presence begin testing response thresholds. They approach closer than they need to. They call from branches nearer than usual. They make themselves visible in ways that are not strictly necessary for foraging. What they are doing, researchers now believe, is probing your reaction. Do you freeze? Do you reach for something? Do you look directly at them or let your gaze pass over them without registering? Birds that have classified a person as genuinely safe, not just non-threatening, but safe, a meaningful distinction, will begin closing the distance in small, deliberate increments over days and weeks. Not because they want attention, because they are verifying a conclusion. A chickadee that lands 3 feet from your face and looks directly at you has passed through a series of prior tests to get there. Each one concluded the same way, and that conclusion brought it 1 branch closer. Test 3. They evaluated whether you could be read. Here is the part that surprises people the most. Birds don't just monitor what you do. They monitor whether your behavior is consistent, whether they can predict you, whether the model they've built of you holds up across different mornings, different seasons, different circumstances. Predictability, in the bird's assessment of a human, is safety. An unpredictable individual, even a non-threatening one, is an elevated risk. You cannot build a behavioral model around something you cannot anticipate. The birds that sit calmly in your yard when you're outside, that carry on eating, calling, moving, living their lives without interruption while you are present. Those birds have concluded something specific. They have decided that you are legible, that they understand you well enough to stop spending cognitive resources tracking you as a potential threat. That is not small. In the life of an animal that never fully stops being prey, lowering its alert level around a large mammal requires significant accumulated evidence. You provided that evidence day after day without knowing you were being evaluated. Test 4. They checked whether you would show up. Reliability was part of the assessment too. And this is the one that most directly shapes what happens in your yard right now. Research out of Cambridge on anticipatory behavior in birds showed that individuals, particularly corvids but also smaller passerines, develop what are essentially internal calendars around specific humans. They learn your schedule. They learn when you appear, how often, whether the appearance correlates with food or simply with presence. The next time you step outside and the birds don't scatter. The next time a chickadee holds its position on the branch and turns one eye toward your face before going back to the seed, you will know what that means. Not guessing, knowing. They ran their tests. They reviewed the results. And they decided you were worth staying for. Tell me in the comments, has a bird ever done something around you that felt like more than coincidence? A moment where the distance was smaller than it should have been, where the stillness lasted longer than you expected. Tell me what happened. I read every one. I'll see you in the next one.